Obviously a very difficult loss for our football team, but certainly pales in comparison to the unimaginable sorrow that we had this week in the loss of Declan Sullivan. As a father of three, I can only imagine the sorrow and that accompanies the loss of your son. So it's been a very difficult time for me and everybody within our football family. I didn't think we were going to have to go through something like this so close to the tragedy that we had with Matt James. And it's, you think that, you're strong and able to handle all of those things that are thrown at you. This one was very difficult. And all we can do in these very difficult times is what we did. And that's support Declan and his family and rally like we did here at Notre Dame to provide for all those affected with this great loss the opportunity to heal. And, so it's been, from a personal perspective, a very difficult week for all of us. And I focus strictly on the Sullivan family, our football family, and my own family. Really, that's been all the things that have taken up my time since this tragedy occurred. And Declan, quite frankly, I don't know if it's customary or not, but the head coach usually doesn't come in contact on a day-to-day basis with a lot of the videographers. It's just, we seem to pass, they come in and we leave, and our time never really syncs up where we get a chance to spend much time. But I got a chance to meet Declan and know him because of all the time he spent in our offices, especially this summer. And as you know, he was a lover of film and writing. He's a great writer. And I've got great memories of him just, being in being in the film and video offices and putting things together secretive on most occasions. I'd look over his shoulder. So I pass that on because this one hurts. Because, again, in my 20 years, I don't know that I've had maybe a dozen people, student workers that I knew. I knew Declan. It was a very, very difficult week for all of us. Extraordinary the way the university has come together. The mass was so good for me and everybody on our football team and our football family and our university, and the leadership that Father Jenkins and Jack Swarbuck have shown during this very difficult time has helped me and all of those that are associated in our football program. On Wednesday, I made the decision that we could have a productive and safe practice outdoors. Productive because the conditions were such, although windy, were not unlike many days that I had practice at other universities, including here at the University of Notre Dame. Productive practice is important, obviously, within our offense as well. Throwing the football, you have to be able to look at the weather conditions and find out whether you believe it's going to be a productive day first. And we believed it to be productive. It was productive, obviously, up until the tragedy. The next thing that is important is that it's a safe session. Practice must be safe. And that takes on a litany of different things when you talk about safe. When we're indoors, my biggest concern is always running out on the track or running into an area where there's medical equipment or water bottles, or just the safety of our football team. Outdoors, different weather elements obviously play in that relative to safety as well. You know, whether it's a tornado warning the day before, or it's a lightning storm that's in the area, or the heat index is at a certain number, and certainly wind. All of those elements have to be evaluated in making the decision, which I made the decision that I felt it was productive and safe. And we have systems in place to make certain and that deal with issues of safety. Clearly, in this instance, they failed. And we are in the process of examining all of those systems that are in place and looking for those answers. And that's currently where we are in investigating this tragedy and carefully looking at everything relative to safety. You know, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that when you talk about taking your football team outside, that those items are at the forefront of every coach's, not just me, not just here at the University of Notre Dame, everybody in the country thinks about the same things. And you know, that's probably the one area, obviously, that you know, we're all grappling with right now. I can recall being out at the practice site, and it was a windy day, but a productive day. And next thing I knew, I heard that the tower was down. First thing that I did is I got to my coaches that were obviously affected by the situation, some of them running around. I gathered the coaches quickly, two of them, and said, keep practicing. Because at that point, we had players that were starting to migrate towards the accident scene. And I felt it was very important for me to keep our guys away from that accident scene. And our coaches did a great job of monitoring our players, staying with our players, keeping them preoccupied, as I then left to go to the accident scene. Got to the accident scene and saw that you know, our training staff were with Declan, and I wanted to make certain that that area was in good hands, and it looked like, to me, everything was moving in the right direction. We had Notre Dame responders, we had ambulance responders, and once I felt comfortable in that situation where we had professionals on site dealing with it, I went back inside to the practice field and subsequently called our football team together at midfield. We prayed for Declan. I told and informed our football team of the injury, the seriousness of it, and I then dismissed our football team. That's my best recollection of the events surrounding the accident itself. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of questions. I'm not really adept at being able to handle some of the specifics. I can tell you that we're working hard to get all those answers, and you know, we're so close to this event occurring that we're still putting together a lot of the information that everybody, I'm sure, is interested in, as we are as well. We're very interested in making sure that we provide, and My staff has been incredible in providing as much information as possible. That's really important. And for me, it was important for me to get a chance to spend time with Declan's family before the Mass and pass on to them our entire football team's sincere sorrow for what has occurred. It's just a devastating thing for everybody, but it was really important. I wanted to be able to meet the family and was very, very fortunate to do so. I'm trying to cover as many of the notes that I have scribbled down here. Again, I think the most important things is that for me, productive and safe, weather-related factors are examined every day relative to that safe atmosphere. We've got systems in place to deal with this, and we're obviously examining them very, very carefully, especially, obviously, wind. So again, I don't have a lot of answers relative to specifics. I'll open it up to some questions.
Just a couple of questions.
Right. When did you realize that it was Declan that was down? I mean, did you know when the practice started that it was him that was actually in the tower?
I knew once the tower went over who it was.
Brian, why didn't anyone tell him to come down? Who, I guess, is responsible for monitoring stuff during practice if the conditions change? And why wasn't there anybody to tell him, bring the lift down in obviously such high winds?
Certainly, Brian, as you know, those are all the things that we're examining right now. You know, we could probably come up with a number of different things that we're all wondering, and those are the questions that are being asked exactly as you've asked them. We're doing that and have been doing it since the accident occurred.
Brian, is there a max wind speed on those? Brian, is there a max wind speed prescribed for those pieces of equipment that you know of?
I don't. Again, if I had the knowledge specifically of wind speed and heights of lifts and all of those, I certainly would provide those to you. I just don't have that information.
Brian, will you give some insight on the daily protocol of the videographers? Do they come in and report to someone and get assigned a test each day? Or someone like Declan, does he just go about and do his duties knowing what they are without really having that?
Typically, they all meet together, get a practice schedule, because each one of them are assigned different areas of the field to film. Declan was on the defensive field, and that was his duties were generally filming the defense and our offensive show squad. So everybody kind of knew their roles as they began the day, and then we're given a schedule as to, we want you filming in this area at this particular time.
And just secondly, when you met with his family, in what capacity did you meet with them? Where were you? And just share some.
We were in the main building. I wanted to, and it was a great exchange, because Declan had informed his family that how much he enjoyed his year here with me and the staff, and it was great to hear that. But more importantly, it was me telling the family how much he meant to our entire football team. His personality was so easy to recognize. He stood out from everybody else, and obviously we wanted to pass on, our sorrow as well, as not only individually but as a team.